Well, welcome back. This is Hopping Valley Community Hospital, and this is part of our 55 Ways to Be a Better Me. If you'll recall, the hospital is celebrating 55 years this year in 2021. So very proud. With all that's going on with COVID, we were able to come up with some various different ways to still engage the community and provide some educational, healthy opportunities. So today is the next in our series, and we have a wonderful guest with us today. She's our Director of Nutrition Services. I'm going to let her just take over, introduce herself. It's kind of right around healthy eating, awareness. We'll just let her talk about that and learn what we can do to be a better me today. Alicia, welcome.
Hi, thanks, Latricia. Welcome, everyone. So I'm here for National Eating Disorders Awareness Week, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about ways that we can have a healthy relationship with food and our bodies. And one way I think that we can do that is by just learning a little bit more about what eating disorders are, the prevalence of eating disorders, which is, just how many people have eating disorders, and then what treatment looks like for eating disorders, and a little bit about eating disorder prevention. So eating disorders are somewhat misunderstood, but they are really recognized by a pattern of unhealthy eating behaviors that is persistent, meaning it does not go away. And it really affects the person's quality of life. It causes them emotional distress and can even cause them health problems, some serious health problems. There are three official categories of eating disorders. The first is anorexia nervosa. The second is bulimia nervosa. And the third is an umbrella category called other specified feeding and eating disorders. And in this category is where binge eating disorder lies. And so all of these eating disorders are serious, and none is more serious or severe than another. They just all are very, clinically difficult. And so, in thinking of how many people actually struggle with eating disorders, it's difficult to tell because we have clinical guidelines that actually help us diagnose eating disorders, but some folks fall in what we call a subclinical category where they have distressing eating behaviors, but they may not meet all the criteria for, a clinically significant eating disorder. And so we do know that 20 million women and 10 million men will be diagnosed with an eating disorder in their lifetime, while millions more will struggle with subclinical eating disorders. And so all eating disorders, like I said before, impact quality of life. Anorexia nervosa does have the highest overall mortality rate of any mental illness. The risk of death is 3 times higher actually than in depression, in schizophrenia, and alcohol use disorder, and 12 times higher than in the general population. And up to 10% of women with anorexia nervosa may die due to anorexia-related causes. So they are very serious. But in knowing that, we do know that treatment does exist. And so what treatment usually looks like is a team-based approach. And so that would include a registered dietitian like myself, who would provide nutrition counseling services and medical nutrition therapy, as well as mental health professionals who can support folks in psychiatric and medication therapies for eating disorders. And so recovery is possible from eating disorders, especially if we can catch it early, and if treatment is enacted right away. And so if you or someone you know is struggling with an eating disorder or even disordered eating, it's important to talk to your doctor right away. That way you can be evaluated and start treatment as soon as possible. If you want more information about eating disorders, the National Eating Disorder Association's website is nationaleatingdisorders.org, and they have a ton of information and resources and connect you with any kind of assistance that you might need around eating disorders. And so you might be wondering if you can do anything to prevent eating disorders. And because eating disorders have both a psychological and environmental component to them, it can be difficult to prevent them, but there are things that we can do. And so first, we can just recognize that others, especially children, pay attention to and learn from the way that we talk about food in our bodies. And so one of the biggest things we can do is really just model healthy self-esteem and body image, which means we need to be mindful about the ways that we discuss our and others' bodies, and really just choose to talk about ourselves with respect and appreciation, and know that our value comes from our goals, accomplishments, our talents, and our character, and that our body size really does not reflect our character or our personality or our value as a person. And we can also try to avoid assuming that weight loss is always healthy and good, while weight gain is always unhealthy and bad. Folks in eating disorder recovery, their weight may change. And so making body-based comments can actually disrupt their recovery process. So we really just want to keep body-based comments to ourselves if we can. And secondly, we can just model a good, healthy relationship with food and nutrition. So refrain from dieting and diet talk, and really just avoid discussing food in terms of good and bad. And try to keep food in a positive or neutral tone. And this is really important in front of kids. We just really want kids to be adventurous and enjoy food, and we don't want them to fear food or start to avoid foods. And so lastly, you just really want to trust your body and be sure to eat enough food in a given eating occasion. Aim for balanced meals with plenty of variety between the food groups. Make sure that you're modeling eating decisions that are made with confidence and autonomy, and a personal sense of moderation, rather than from these outside rules and restrictions that come from all the diets that we have nowadays. And that can really help support a healthier relationship with food. And if you would like more information about eating disorders or what a healthy relationship with food really looks like for you, we have two dietitians here at Hocking Valley Community Hospital, myself and Barb Nakanishi, and both of us are available to support you in any of your nutrition related needs. So you can always ask your doctor for a referral, and we are here for you if you need us. And I did bring the best part, a little example of what a balanced meal actually looks like. And so this is a wonderful turkey wrap. It has turkey and cheese and some extra veggies like lettuce and tomato and onions. And then also on a plate here is some fruit. So we have strawberries and grapes, and then some cheese. And this meal has every single food group represented, and it's enough to eat so that you won't go hungry or feel like you're, really ravenous between meals. So this is an example of something that you could pack if you really wanted to make sure that you're giving yourself enough nutrition throughout the day. And that's all from me. Thanks, Latricia.
Thank you. I love the pointers that you've given us today. Appreciate the research that you put into that. And I really like the point that you made referencing the children. A lot of times we miss that, and we do. I'm sure I've caught my own self, constantly, maybe I shouldn't have that, too high in calories, et cetera, and thinking I've been surprised myself at how young a lot of the girls are, already focused on their bodies, what they look like, and living on Diet Coke and Diet Sprite, et cetera. So I love the pointers there that you made for us to keep in mind about what we say is very important. So thank you for joining with us today and helping us to be a better me. Appreciate the insight again, and just the awareness of that there is such a thing as eating disorder, on both spectrums, not enough and too much. So thank you again, Alicia Woods, Director of our Nutrition Services. And thank you to everyone who was listening today. You will find us on our Facebook page. Please join us at any time every Friday, and some in between, as I said, to get 55 in a year or 52 weeks. There'll be some surprises in between. So thank you.